Divine Mother is the voice of God. It's solitonic sound frequencies that come in. And that's where Ireland is.
Hello and welcome to an interview with our main speaker for the Conscious Concert 2026. We have with us Professor Mohsen Sarfarazi. I just wrote a few notes there that describes him from his bio. He's a creation consciousness spiritual scientist, highly attuned to high dimensional conscious and universal quantum consciousness, opposed to AI transhumanism, and here to restore our understanding as multi-dimensional crystalline human consciousness beings. And part of that is understanding our negative aliens, the reversal of planetary grids and stargates, etc., and the role of AI and the fallen reptilian Anunnaki and the role and how they're acting out. Mohsen is the president of Consciousness and Spiritual Science Institute. He is a retired professor, scientist, researcher, and educator, and has written several hundred papers on many different topics covering these subjects of quantum mechanics and interdimensional consciousness and so on. Mohsen, welcome. We're looking forward to having you in Ireland in 3 weeks, just over 3 weeks.
Well, thank you very much, and it was very nice to hearing from you again. I have not agreed to any kind of interviews for a long time. It's approaching 10 years. Internationally, I was, giving conferences and podcasts and TV and all this kind of stuff. I stopped it for the fact that I wanted to concentrate very much in my research work, and it was very time consuming. It's a very auspicious time right now to come out and start talking again, because we are basically at the end of line, end of time. So let me elaborate on that. I call it end of, in parentheses, old time. Okay, so it's not Armageddon or singularity, AI singularity, and all this kind of stuff that the negative alien trying to, going for it, with the Great Reset and all this kind of stuff they talk about, and the AI singularity and all this. So that's a hopeful thing on them, But the end of old times, which simply what it means is that it's the end of their reign. It's the end of their time on the planet. We have been for at least 22,000 years, going back to what we call Luciferian rebellion, which has started around 26,000 years ago. In fact, if you want to think about it, it's one ascension cycle. One ascension cycle is 26,556 years, and it's coming to the end of that. And I can assure you that there will not be an AI singularity. AI singularity means the end of the line. It means you can't go back. So you might have been so much under control of negative aliens, mind control, manipulation, with all their stuff, genetic implants, their hyperdimensional pockets, and then pushing for transhumanism and transgenderism, which is something that this century has really escalated with all the, gender confusions and getting into transgenderism, because they don't believe in all that. They don't, we're organic beings, and we come from a system of dualism. That's what I call a dualism principle of creation. Not to be confused with the duality, which has been used in esoteric language and stuff like this. Dualism has a very, very expansive meaning. It could be anything from matter, antimatter, time, space, gender, which male, female gender, or actually electric magnetic field, You know what I'm saying? Bass frequency, acceleration, frequency, all this kind of stuff. So it can go on and on and on. That was the first part of my work. I did not get into negative aliens because I didn't want to scare people, first of all. Okay? Because to tell people you're possessed, you're being fed upon, you have shadow bodies that you live in a system of a multiple soul occupancy instead of single soul occupancy, which we've always wanted, right? Soul is my body, and all that stuff. Anyway, they have done that through AI technology, okay? And it's the end of the time because God has said so, all right? They have cloned everybody, okay? They've cloned all these dragon luminaries and guardian founders, and that's how they got control. They replaced them, they put them in power, right? So and then through doing all kinds of cloning and assimilation and generating AI copies and all this stuff. In fact, right now I'm going to tell you this: in the world, you go around, there are AI copies all over.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to scare people. I'm not coming to Ireland to do that. I'm coming to, they need to know this stuff. You can't put your head into the ground. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, this is how they've ruled us, through religious hypocrisy and superstition. Okay? Programming us. They rewrote our history. They unplugged 10 of our 12 strands of DNA, okay, which is the foundation of what is it, the diamond sunbody genetics, or even maybe double, or even emerald sunbody genetics, going all the way to 48 strands of crystalline DNA. But at least 12. We were created with 12, base 12, Negative aliens have tried to desecrate these quanta of energies because they're fallen. They don't have a quanta of energy of God anymore. They're fallen. Okay? They don't have an umbilical cord to God. They don't breathe. They don't consciously vibrate. You talk about frequency of vibration. That's what it means. It means we spin back and forth about this line of connection to God, which is the umbilical cord. Okay? And we either expand the way, and that is to go and learn what is going on. We come from God, but we're learning on our own. That's the gift God has given us. So you can go in there and you see it for your own self. And you come into physicality and all that kind of stuff. Okay? That is actually your male aspect. Okay? And then you have to contract back to God. All right? So you start spinning the other way. One of them is called matter, the other one is called antimatter. When you go out of the inner self, you get into the world of matter, physicality. Okay? When you go back in and start contracting back to that point of singularity of God in the middle of the cosmos, center of cosmos. And when I'm telling you cosmos is horrendous, tremendous. It's not just the universe. It's not the galaxy. It's nothing. It's not the tip of an iceberg. Our universe is nothing compared to the cosmos. This universe, the modern universe, okay, is a universe at the edge of the cosmos. Okay, now I've shown there are 356 main dimensions of consciousness, but each dimensional plane can have infinite parallel, anti-parallel dimensions. I can explain that if you want to, or not. The mechanics, God's mechanics, local mechanics was desecrated through AI because these entities, they became fallen, right? And when they became fallen, they had no connection to God. So how do they maintain themselves? The reason you're alive, you're talking to me because God's energy flows to you. And you may not know that, but at the quantum level, your quantum energy spin back and forth about God, towards God, away from God, towards God, away from God. And that's your male, female aspect. When you pull away, it's male. When you go in, female. You know what I'm saying? All right. I mean, our body is split into two parts. There's electric and there's magnetic. Electric is male, okay? Is expansive. It expands away. But also there's another thing that I introduced, principle of orthogonality of creation, which means you cannot have male without a female. They do not have gender. They do not hate male and female. They don't even vibrate. You know, when you consciously vibrate, you expand, contract, expand, contract. It's kind of like a pendulum that goes, comes back. Yeah. All right. Or you can think about something that goes, come in. Yeah. That's how those your DNA works. You know, the helical. In fact, the vibration is helical. These entities who control the planet, control NASA, control all the, military industrial complex and all this kind of stuff, they're not from us. But they use humans and they reward you. They can give you all kinds of good money, or this, that. But you're their laborers, You are way beyond that. You have so much more energy. And they've always tried to make sure you can't tap into that energy because they know your potentials. Okay, that's why they put genetic implants in you. That's with all this stuff, and some of the genetic implants that they've done in there, it creates gender splitting. Gender splitting is bad polarity. So basically, the Sexton matrix gives you a ratio between the electric and magnetic, the male and the female. All these consciousness quantum energies fell down into Milky Way. It went down to lower dimensions. From 10, 11, 12 dimension, it came to lower dimension. You know what I'm saying? 7, 8, 9. And from that, further down, they stepped us down all the time because their feeding ground is at the lower ground. They can't stand light. And they can't stand high frequencies. So one way to get rid of these shadow bodies, these parasites, is keep your frequency high. You know what I'm saying? Don't give into fear, and I've got tons of papers on these things. Fear, anxiety, you know what I'm saying? All these things. Actually, the 7 cardinal sins, it actually stretches beyond the 7 sins. You know what I'm saying? All those things were designed to siphon your energy. You have these shadow bodies that live on you. And remember I said that you don't have a single soul occupancy. Yeah. Because of negative, not through God. God created you as a single occupancy, gave you sovereignty, free will. Nobody can touch your auric field. Your consciousness field is sacred to you. It is what God gifted to you. Yeah. And actually, the only thing God asks you is to maintain the integrity, the sanctity, the sacredness of this. But the negative aliens have come in, all right, through mind control, religious hypocrisy, this and this and this, then adding their technologies, adding their AI technologies, genetic implantation, and they know genetics. They know how to reverse genetics. You know what I'm saying? They messed up all your body, all the way to your endocrine system going down and to your neurotransmitters and all this stuff. They interface with that. And there's so much stuff I can tell you, from streaming directly to you, you know what I'm saying? To shadow bodies feeding on you. Think about it. You're walking at the edge of a sewer system, and you've got all these mosquitoes biting on you, eating your stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what these shadow bodies are.
Yeah.
But they're eternal.
So this genetic manipulation, this goes back 26,000 years, or it was, I've seen hieroglyphs on Hathor temple, which was like cell division, and it looked like a genetic code, yeah, that they were doing in Egypt. So this predates Egypt. You know, I've reading quite stuff around, you know, the Tuatha De Danann, or the Tua, like how that got manipulated into the Tuatha De Danann. The mythologies got reversed. We were created into a warring people when we were beings of light. So even our history that we're given isn't to be trusted. Yeah, because it's
no. They in 5,500 years ago, they totally unplugged 10 of your DNA system, because DNA deals with soul. Soul keeps your memories. Okay, if you're unplugged, you don't remember. You know what I'm saying? In fact, they created all this stuff about reincarnation, so they would make sure that through genetic implants and all kinds of pharmaceutical system, all this stuff, they make sure you die before you're 100. Okay, so when you
believe that when we're here on this planet, and part of the nature of being on this planet is to have this human experience for the greater consciousness, and part of that is to forget. That if we don't forget, it kind of destroys the whole purpose of the experiment. What you're saying is,
that's
we're not
designed. They tell you, my friend. That's what they tell you.
Yes.
God created you as an eternal being. Okay? And God created you as, you know, this is what God did. Exploded, imploded upon itself. All these consciousness, quantum energies went all over the cosmos. Okay? And some of them ended up at the first, second, third dimensions, which we've been in the third, the first harmonic universe, the first 3 dimensions, right? Okay? And then the objective for you is that to learn and experience and expand your consciousness centropically, not entropically. Entropically means dissipation of energy, waste of energy. These shadow bodies, these possessions, these parasitic feedings, it all takes away your energy. It won't, God is giving you energy, they steal the energy from you because they can't have the energy. They have no umbilical cord attachment to God anymore.
Yeah.
But when they became fallen, they kept their consciousness that was given by God. You know what I'm saying? And then they tried to preserve that consciousness, and they created some kind of quantum computers to freeze their consciousness and put it in there and digitize it, which is exactly what's going on with AI. They can't do it with any kind of weaponry. Their weaponry is all psychological. They get you to do it against yourself. Greed, anger, that we talked about. And they pour these shadow bodies on you, that they talk to you in your head. You know what I'm saying? And they say, no, good, go. But that's good. That's you get all you can, whatever. This. You fall into this, you're digging your own grave. And if you do more and more, finally, you fall into their abyss, and you may even become fallen. You know that these politicians, most of them are fallen.
Yeah.
They're AI. They're not even human beings. They look like human beings because they can clone you. They clone you exactly. You look like this. You can't even tell them apart. Okay, their cloning technology has really advanced throughout millennia. Okay? And they replace you with that. They replaced Michael Jackson, they replaced Lady Gaga, the entertainers.
Yeah.
Because they control people, they bring energy that they can tap into. We're talking immortality, basically, for that. You are supposed to be immortal, but they've taken that gift from you, the negative aliens. They don't do anything magnificent or anything, genuine. They take God's stuff and they reverse it totally, 180 degrees. Divine Mother is the voice of God. It's solitonic sound frequencies that come in. And that's where Ireland is